You're already clapping. You're already clapping. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Houston's own internationally acclaimed two-time author and motivational speaker extraordinaire. Give it up for the host of the Brandon Holt Show. It's Brandon Holt.
Hey, why did the teddy bear get sick after he ate? Because he stuffed himself. You know, when I was a child, I threw a boomerang. Today, I live in constant fear. Do you know parallel lines have so much in common? Too bad they'll never meet. Today, I feel like someone stole my mood ring. I don't know how I feel about that. Someone stole my Microsoft Office. And let me tell you, they're going to pay. You have my word. You know, working in a mirror factory is something I can totally see myself doing. Hey, how do you find Will Smith in the snow? You look for the Fresh Prince. Hey, everybody, this is Brandon Holt, and welcome to the Brandon Holt Show, episode 35. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure you share the feed. Now, put your hands together, stand on your feet. Let's get the show started.
It's time again to get Lean with Dr. Green. Catch me Tuesday, 7 p.m. CST on the Brandon Holt Show. We'll be streaming on YouTube, and we're going to talk about all things women. Let's get a handle on this obesity and cure this disease. See you there.
Everybody, put your hands together as we welcome my man, Dr. Michael Green, to the show. Doc, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great, Brandon. How you doing?
I'm doing good, Doc. How's it going out in Fort Worth?
Man, I tell you, we actually doing pretty good. You know, we had that winter storm in the area in North Texas that kind of set us back, but we're dealing with some of that. But other than that, you know, we're blessed, man, and now it's time to be a blessing.
That's good. So, Dr. Green, yesterday was National Women's Day. So let's talk about women's health. How important is women's health, especially as it relates to obesity?
Well, what you'll find is that they're disproportionately impacted by obesity. When you see from 2000 to 2018, there's been a doubling of obesity epidemic. And so from 4.7 to like 9.2%. And the individuals that are greatly impacted are women. As well as those individuals from like that 40 to 59 age range. So when we talk about obesity, they are definitely the ones that are greatly impacted by that.
So what kind of word do you have for women to encourage them to continue to focus more on good health?
So when you think about it, I think we should start to talk about why should we get lean? Why should we get healthier? And that really comes back down to if we truly understand the impact that obesity has on our health. And since it is, you know, we just got over International Women's Day and highlighting women, you know, it's good to talk about that. And so to that point, let's talk about our reproductive women, our women that are trying to bear. We find that there is a great deal of obesity-related infertility, PCOS, which is polycystic ovarian syndrome, the time to become pregnant. These are all factors that they play. And a lot of it has to do with their sheer weight. You'd be surprised with just a 5 to 10% weight loss, the impact that becoming pregnant can occur.
Now, do you recommend that women come see you to get instant weight loss, or do you all have a plan within your practice that you give to people to hoping they can lose weight naturally first?
Well, definitely, it's never straight to surgery. I think that when you come to our practice, our goals are to change the behavior, because you and I both know that doing the same thing, trying to get a different outcome is what? It's insanity. So what we're trying to do is really understand nutrition. We understand that exercise is a pivotal point. But I will tell you, if those things don't work in and of themselves, surgical tool is a powerful tool. Even to the extent when you begin to look at the incidence of infertility in women that are trying to bear children, and they can't. They battled because a lot of them can't ovulate. Okay, obviously that's the insemination of the egg, and if that can never implant, then therein lies the inability to be fertilized, and then go on through a normal pregnancy. Not to mention the increased risk of stillbirths or even gestational diabetes. So there are a lot of healthcare problems that these women face by just being overweight. And
Now,
so,
I want to comment on that. So is there a certain age that you would recommend women, go another route as opposed to having getting pregnant naturally?
well, I think that, obviously that is a family decision in regards to, first, when you find the right mate, and you're wedded and you move forward in that direction. So if all things line up for the individual, I think the timing is kind of a personal one. I think that it's the problem if they can't get pregnant, and dealing with the reasons for infertility. And I'll tell you, obesity is a major factor to that, to the extent what I have seen in even in the GYN OB literature, they talk about even referring patients now to bariatric surgeons because that is a means to which one can lose weight to then begin that process of implantation and becoming pregnant. Definitely.
Hey, everybody, this is Get Lean with Dr. Green, all the way out of Fort Worth, Texas, bariatric surgeon. Always good to have Dr. Green stop by the Brandon Holt Show. Doc, we need one more good word. What can you tell our viewership?
I'll tell you, don't start too late. And whether you have surgery or whether you do anything, but understand that obesity and health-related issues are real. And so therefore, don't put off today, tomorrow, what you can do today.
Hey, everybody, that's Dr. Green. Let's put our hands together, Doc. We'll see you next month.
All right, man. You take care, Brandon. Thanks a lot.
You're welcome. Hey, everybody, stay tuned. We have to pay those bills. We're going to go to commercial, but guess what? We'll be right back.
Hey, I'm J.K. Hamilton, and you can catch me on the Brandon Holt Show Tuesday at 7 p.m. I'm going to be talking about my testimony of being brought from kidney failure to kidney transplant. I'm 7 years in now, but I think there are some things that you might want to hear about my testimony that might be educational and inspirational too. So catch me Tuesday, Brandon.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have a very special guest on the show. His name is J.K. Hamilton, who's a prominent pastor in Dallas, Texas. He has an interesting story that I believe will change the hearts for whoever's watching this feed. Everybody join me. Put your hands together for J.K. Hamilton. J.K., welcome to the show.
Thank you, Brandon. Thank you for having me.
And so, J.K., you have a very interesting story that has changed the course of your life. And it was kidney failure. So let's talk about, you made a comment about the fearful runaway to kidney failure and the sickness. So take us back of how all of this got started.
Well, so I had always had high blood pressure. So the precursors for me were high blood pressure and diabetes. And at one point I was having a difficult time controlling and managing those things. What really made me nervous in the runway of it was the fact that I would get these reports when I'd go to the doctor about my creatinine level. And of course, me, like most men in the United States and most men, period, a lot of men, I didn't want to, I tried to fix it myself. So I had the mentality that what I'll do is I will make sure that I get a good doctor's report by fixing the problem instead of going to the doctor so that he can diagnose and prescribe what it needed to be prescribed. So I took it in my own hands, and that fear of going to the doctor led me to act upon my own idea of how to fix it. And I was actually making it worse. I was making it worse. I was trying to work out. My breathing got difficult to breathe. And I started working out and taking supplements, which was hurting my kidney more. And so it was a fearful runway because I was in an attempt to avoid what he said was coming. I did what I thought was best to do, and then I was actually running toward what was said was coming. So it was really scary. And I encourage all men to go to the doctor.
So at what age do you feel men need to go to the doctor?
I think I could have avoided this if I would have been going to the doctor a lot longer. And you're really, when you, as soon as you come into adulthood, I think to get a steady relationship with a physician might be helpful, especially for preventive things.
Hey, everybody, we're live here with J.K. Hamilton. We're going to go to commercial. You know, we got to pay those bills every week. Stay tuned. Don't leave. We'll be right back. Hey, everybody, we are back with J.K. Hamilton. So you're a prominent public figure. All of a sudden, you get life-altering news. You used to drive by the Dickey's barbecue, overlook the dialysis center, and now you see the dialysis center, and everything's shifted for you from what was normal to now you had a new normal and a new community. So kind of, if you would, J.K., tell us about how you made the shift to a new normal in this new community that you're now a part of.
Yeah, that shift was the shift was instant, but the adjustment was a process, and so my mind was still on the road. My mind was still doing what I did, but my body was now in another place. My mind was on the road to Jerusalem, but my body was at the pool of Bethesda. And so now suddenly I go from Peter to the lame man at the pool, and in my mind, that story doesn't add up, because if you one of the 12, then what you're doing at the pool. So here I am now. I lose a certain amount of commonality with the brotherhood of preachers that I was a part of, and now I acquire a commonality with a group of people who, for 4 hours, 3 days a week, have a fellowship based on sickness. They have a fellowship based on their blood being siphoned out and put back in. I didn't want to make friends there, because to make friends there, in my mind, suggested that I was going to be there long. And there was still something apart in me saying, no, this is a mistake. Things are gonna, they're gonna immediately rectify themselves, and I'm gonna be out of here. It was like doing time. And so now I'm a part of this community, and it took a long time to accept it. I was well into my 3rd month of dialysis, still having not accepted that that's where I was going to be. And it was as if God was saying, "Oh, you know what He said to the children of Israel, to His people, when in Jeremiah 29, when He says, I know the plans I have for you." But prior to that, He told them to settle down. He told them to plant fields, and He told them to build houses. In other words, they were in captivity, and God basically said, "You're going to be here a while."
So
And
JK, I want to ask you this. When you were in the dialysis center, you said it took you, at least 3 months to accept it. Do you feel like the other community members knew that you were dealing with that acceptance stage? Did they know that you weren't truly being transparent, that, hey, this is my new normal? Kind of, what were the conversations like with your new acquaintances there?
what's interesting is those that had been there for a while had seen that before. They'd seen people come in. They had seen people come in and basically make this declaration that, hey, I'm not going to be here long. They're just going to do 2 or 3 treatments, or a few treatments, just to get my kidneys working again. And so they watched as I told the same story that many people before me told, that they even told that they wouldn't be there, very long at all. And so they were patient with me, and they eventually, as I began talking with them and getting close to them, they eventually referred back to that time, and basically said that they had seen it all before. So Yeah, they were definitely patient when I opened up, and when I finally got it through in my mind that this is not a stop sign. This is a parking space.
Do you
And
feel like
and
a burden? Do you feel like a burden was lifted off of you when you finally said, "Hey, this is where I am"?
No, it was the exact opposite. Um, I so I went to a different place. Like the depression took a dive for a while
Mm,
because now I felt like hope was gone.
mm,
You know, when in your mind what you're in, you're going to come out and in a couple of months, and you find out that a couple of months may be a couple of years, and
mm,
they start telling you the things that are indicators that you're going to be there a while. Like things like in order for you to get a transplant, you have to lose this much weight. So, over the next year, I need you to, the doctor says, over the next year, I need you to focus on losing weight. You don't want to hear that. Over
right.
the next year? Over what? Wait a minute. No,
Mm,
I'm not supposed. And then it settles in, and and then it further settles in. Hey, this is going to be a journey. This is going to
mm,
be a long stretch, and
mm,
and the patients, the other dialysis patients, were very encouraging. They saw me in my low places. God set it up to where the one of the nurses, the charge nurses, that would come in and prep me for the dialysis machine, happened to be a sister in Christ,
mm.
the sister to a man that was attending the congregation where I was preaching, and she knew me, but I didn't know her. And
We're
so
gonna,
she
JK,
was waiting.
we're gonna stop right there. We're gonna pick right back up. Hey, everybody, this is so good, so motivating, inspiring. We're gonna go to a quick commercial. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Owner Craig Joseph of Houston, This Is It Soul Food, and sponsor of The Brandon Holt Show. Be sure and stop by and enjoy some tremendous food. 2712 Blodgett Street, McGregor, Houston, Texas. Thanks, Craig.
So, JK, you were telling us about this sister in Christ who attended your congregation, who saw you, but you didn't see her. What did you mean by that?
Yeah, she knew me. She saw me come in, and uh, I had no idea who she was, and it wasn't till about the second time um, she prepped me for dialysis, that we began to have a conversation and
Mm,
put one and one together, and I realized that I knew of her, but I did not know her. So
mm,
it was almost as if God intersected these highways to cross at just the right time, because uh, she was there to encourage me, to talk me out of my depressive ruts,
mm.
and to give me some encouraging words, and eventually that began to become a mutual exchange.
So,
So
JK, what can you say to the person who is, it may not be the same situation that you were in, but they're in a situation where there is no turning back. This is now my new normal. I have to adjust to it. I'm a high profile person, or I'm a supervisor. I'm not necessarily a public figure, but I'm known, and people have always known me this way. And now I'm going through this mental crisis, depression, because now they're going to know me this way. What kind of words can you give that person tonight to kind of help get them back on that right track, just like the lady did for you?
let the Lord draw you out of the crowd of people whose opinion
Mm,
and whose perception you value. God has a way of, even in the Bible, uh, of really talking about great significant things when people are alone with Him. and all of the high profile and all the people that knew had to become something in the backdrop. They had to become something in my peripheral so that God can have a moment with me. Interestingly enough, I had gotten so much into a momentum prior to that that I was working for God, but wasn't working with God.
Mm.
And God slowed me down. So trust God first and foremost. Get to know God, uh, and let Him, understand that these things happen for a reason. Keep pursuing that reason. Keep pursuing the reason. And one of the ways to pursue the reason is to pay attention to everything that happens in that moment. Pay attention to everything that happens, all the people you meet. It is not by accident or happenstance. And your, build your foundation, bloom where you are planted. If God plants you in a situation of sickness, then bloom. Refuse to be in a situation and not bloom. And so I definitely encourage you to do that. Anybody to do that. And I know there are a host of people who are on dialysis, who are faced kidney failure, and we adjust. We adjust like we did, like we're doing right now to this pandemic. Adjust and trust God. God hasn't changed. Our situation has.
And when we come back, Jamel received this news. He was in a place, follow the story. He was in a place, got new news that he had to change his life, kidney failure, went into a state of depression, connected with an encourager. Then it became his new normal in a new community. And then all of a sudden, he receives this news that was good news. We're going to tell you about that good news when we come back. Stay tuned. It's time to hydrate in style. Crystal Bruce is an Air Force veteran, founder and CEO of Crystal Cups, specializing in tumblers from hand-painted wood grain, glitter, hydro-dipped. Today, you can personalize your tumbler with any design, from sports teams, logos to social media handles. Invest in your cup today by ordering on Instagram or Facebook at Crystal_Cups, and shipping is available. So, JK, let's talk about this good news that you received, that something was available, which was a kidney. And I really want to know, was it fear that you were being operated on? Was there excitement? Take us into the mind of that moment when you got the news.
Okay, that moment was preceded by other moments that made that moment make more sense. And let me just say that this when I went into acute renal failure at a university speaking to the student body, I happened to look out in the audience, and to my surprise, my cousin was in the audience, my cousin Anthony. I hadn't seen him. He's from Atlanta, but Carolina prior to that, and he was there, and he knew that I wasn't feeling well. Fast forward past all of the dialysis stuff, uh, that same cousin was the one that stepped forward and said, "I'm going to try to see if I'm a match." Initially, uh, it couldn't happen because uh, he didn't know he had West Nile virus. He beat it. He didn't even know he had it. And so the transplant committee did not approve it. So I started slipping a little bit into that depressive, uh, emotional state. And then I said, no, I've been living with this. I've been on dialysis. I'm just going to keep pressing. Keep pressing on. Well, they came back and they said, hey, you know what? We talked, the committee talked, and you can do it. The risk is low that anything will transfer. That's a dead virus. He didn't know he had it. Blah, 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 yuck, yuck, yuck. I got excited. Man. And then they gave me a date, and I remember that Sunday before. I remember that Sunday before, um, uh, preaching and being so excited that next week, Tuesday, I would get this transplant. So I was excited. I wasn't nervous. I felt like I had been through the worst of the worst. They had prepped me for transplant. Had gone through surgeries already, and so um, I was just full of excitement and ready. I was ready. I was ready to be able to put the toilet seat down again.
So JK, how are
Uh,
you doing today? Have you had any setbacks? Are you doing well? Do you have to take a certain amount of medication every day? Have you received the COVID vaccine? I know that's a lot of questions kind of compacted into one, but just tell us, man, how are you doing today?
by the grace of God, I'm doing well. I'm doing well. It's been 7 years. 7 years. Doing well. I had, when I received the transplant, I had to be educated in the medications I was going to be taking. That was overwhelming because initially there were tons and tons of medications, and eventually they waned down. I
Mm.
still take quite a few pills, but not anything compared to what I used to take. And now it's something automatic. I got the vaccine. I was able to get the vaccine, both parts. Um, no really major setbacks. No major setbacks, except for the fact of the damage that the kidney failure had done. I have some issues with my eyes, but I tell you what, I'll take it. I'm grateful. I'm grateful to be here. I'm grateful to have some sense of normalcy, or you know, some sense of that old momentum back. But this time, that compels me to check in with God more.
JK, you helped a lot of people. You helped myself. We appreciate you sharing your truth on the show. We wish you much success as you continue to improve your health and your strength. All of the viewers who are watching, we don't know where you are, what you're going through, but the encouragement tonight is to keep your head up. Just like JK said, don't give up. Hey, if you have to adjust to a new normal, a new community, it's okay. Make the adjustment. Continue to improve yourself. J.K. Hamilton, we appreciate you checking in on the Brandon Holt Show.
Thank you, Brandon. Thank you, Brandon. Can I give a shout out?
Give a shout out. Here we go.
Since we're talking about this situation, I give a shout out to my wife, Carol, who was a soldier on my behalf during this season, and she's been a soldier ever since.
And also, JK, you just lost a very special person who was your brother-in-law who tragically passed away a couple of weeks ago. Real quick, what are your thoughts?
My thoughts are God brought him home. And God brought him home. He called him in. And we don't understand, but we trust the God that knows all things. We trust what he knows. And it hurts, but it's good to know that God's decisions are always for our good and his good.
Hey, everybody, that's J.K. Hamilton. Stay tuned. We're going to go to one more commercial, and we'll be right back.